everybody. Today I've got my friend Laken Banks. She is a premier baker and cook, and she owns a catering company called the Farmer's Kitchen. Is that right?
Farmhouse Kitchen.
Farmhouse Kitchen, sorry. So today I have asked her to come here and make some gingerbread, traditional gingerbread men for us since it's getting to be that season. And I want Laken to tell you a little bit about herself.
Yeah, thanks. So, like Marsha said, I'm Laken, and I am co-owner of the Farmhouse Kitchen with my mom. Me and her run it out of her farmhouse kitchen. I've been baking since I was 9-ish, and my mom has taught me everything I know. So I'm really excited to make gingerbread with you.
Good. So let's get started.
Yeah. Okay, so in our recipe that we're going to be making today, we have 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, and also in here is 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And then we have 1 1/2 tablespoons of ginger, 1 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. And then in this one, we have 1/2 cup of molasses, which is very important in gingerbread. That's
yes, it is.
Gives it a lot of its distinct flavor. And then in this one, we have 3/4 cup of light brown sugar. And then we also have 1 1/2 sticks of unsalted butter at room temperature and 1 large egg at room temperature.
Okay, well, go right ahead and I'll ask you questions as you get going. Do you know why light brown sugar? I guess because the molasses is so heavy.
Right, you can use dark brown sugar, but it's not gonna hurt it necessarily. Right. It's just gonna give you more of that dark flavor.
Gotcha. Okay, carry on.
Okay.
I'll just watch this time.
Okay, are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let me go ahead. Right?
You're good.
Okay, is we are going to whisk together our flour and our spices that we have here. So I'm just going to get them all put in this. I love these smells. It's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Christmas. It just reminds you of going back to Grandma's house.
Yes.
And that's the best.
Well, this is Grandma's house, actually.
You don't look old enough to be a grandma.
Well, thank you.
I know you are, but
I love this girl.
We've known each other for a really long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just taking a metal whisk here, and we're gonna whisk all of that together. This also helps aerate your flour, so
and that helps it rise.
Yes, instead of sifting it, you can just use a whisk like this, and it adds some air into it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So you don't have to do it a whole lot.
Nope, just until it's all incorporated in there.
Gotcha.
All right, and we're gonna set that aside. And now we are going to mix our brown sugar.
The wet stuff?
Yes. So our brown sugar and our butter and our molasses and our large egg.
Does the butter have to be room temperature?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's not room temperature, it was not going to mix up very well. It's going to be lumpy.
Right.
Then your cookies won't turn out right.
Well, for those of us who aren't regular bakers, I'm like a once-a-year baker.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are. One time I made a public service announcement on social media that when you bake, if your recipe calls for unsalted butter, you use unsalted butter. Because in salted butter, you can't control your salt content.
Right.
And also, there's a difference between butter and margarine.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of people will just go in and buy the cheapest thing, which is margarine, but then you're not going to have a good product. Most of the time. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll work out, but most of the time it's not going to. All right, so we're going to take a mixer, and we're going to mix this until it's creamy and fluffy. It usually takes about 2 minutes. So now we are going to take the ingredients that we put in this bowl, and we're going to put them in our mixer.
And this is the brown sugar, the light brown sugar, the unsalted butter, and the molasses.
Yes.
And just that smell of molasses smells like Christmas.
It does.
So we just did that for 2 minutes.
Maybe a little less. when you're about halfway through your mixing process, you're going to want to stop your mixer, or if you're doing it by hand, whatever the case may be, and just kind of scrape the sides and the bottom to make sure that it's getting all of that yummy goodness mixed in. And then now we're going to finish it up. You can't overbeat this part.
Oh, good.
Right. So now we're going to add in our 1 egg, because we didn't do that a while ago.
Okay.
You're supposed to mix this and then add your egg in. So let me grab that real quick.
I wonder why that is. Why do you have to mix it and then add the egg?
Maybe
is the egg just aerated too much?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so remember this egg is room temperature.
Now why is that important? I wonder.
Because your butter's room temperature, so if you add in a cold egg, your butter's going to solidify, and then it's not all going to be mixed in.
Down.
Yep, scrape it one more time. Okay, put that back up, and let's finish it up. Yes, or it just to look, you know, real fluffy. Let's see. See, you can tell it's pretty airy in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is well mixed, and now we're going to add our dry ingredients in intervals. You don't want to dump it all at once, because then you're going to have a huge mess.
Right.
So let me grab the flour.
I have accidentally added flour with the whisking attachment, and it was not pretty.
I usually do this in about 3 batches. That's slow enough that we don't have a giant mess on our hands. Okay, so now we're adding in our last bit of flour here. Okay, put it all in there. See, as you can tell, it looks like a pretty dry dough at first, but once we get it all mixed good, then it won't look so dry. So because of our whisk attachment, it's not going to totally come into a ball, but this is pretty much what you're looking for. You take a piece of it, you see
it'll hold together.
It's very firm. It holds its shape real well.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're looking for. Now, what I like to do is I am going to squish it a little bit and kind of get it in the shape that I want it to be when I roll it out. If you just leave it in a ball, it's kind of hard to roll out. So you want to flatten it a little bit. And then we're going to fold up our sides.
It looks just like the ones they do on Great British Baking.
Oh my gosh, I wonder why. No.
Because they know what they're doing, and so do you.
Okay, so then you're going to have 2 of these because we divided our dough. Remember, that's very important. So we have 2 of these, and then we're going to stick them in the oven or in the refrigerator. You can either do it the night before, which I prefer, or you need at least an hour of chill time on your dough. Okay, so we took half of our gingerbread dough out that I made last night, so it's nice and firm. Look at that, it's not going anywhere. So now we also have the oven preheating to 350. We're going to open our gingerbread. Okay, before we take this out though, we're gonna get some of our flour here, and I just like to...
Would it be easier for you to do on the flat, big surface?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay, so, and then we're just gonna sprinkle some of our flour. You don't need a whole lot, and then what's left on your hands, just rub it on your rolling pin. Okay, so then we're gonna put our dough down. I like to put a little flour on top of my dough just to, you know, added security so we don't stick. And then you're just gonna roll back and forth. We're looking for probably about 1/4 of an inch on this. You can make it thicker to your preference. I probably wouldn't go 1/2 an inch, would probably be pushing it.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you have dough like this and it splits like that, what do you do about that?
So you can just push it back together, or like
But
if
it's
you...
pretty cold, it's not going to stick to itself,
If
right?
you just roll over it, see, like that, it's sticking back
Gotcha.
together. And then as you push your dough out, it's gonna spread. So, I mean, and after we cut a couple of them, then we're going to roll it all back up and roll it back out. So, if you just can't use that piece, that's okay. All right, that's about a thickness I like right there. So, all right, and then, oh, here's our cute little gingerbread man.
Do you need to put them on a pan? Do we
Yes.
need to get a pan ready?
So, you're going to want to get a sheet pan, and I always like to do parchment paper on mine, just to make sure they don't stick. And then I dip my cookie cutters in flour. You can dump it out on your cabinet and do it, or if they're just for you, just throw it in. It's fine. Okay.
So I'll be prepping the pans. How many do you think we'll need?
Probably just 2 should be good enough.
The 2 larger ones?
Yeah. Okay, and then, so we're going to put our cookie cutter down on top of our dough, and you're just going to push straight down. Make sure you push on all the sides so it comes out, and lift straight up. And if it stays in there, that's fine, because we're going to rip all the sides off anyway. So.
Good. It's about lost the parchment paper.
Okay. So there's about 3. And then just pull all this excess. Sometimes if there's a lot of flour on the back, I'll try to wipe it off as I pull it up. So, because ultimately you are adding a little bit of flour into your dough.
Yeah.
So, the more you add, the tougher your dough is going to be. Nobody wants a tough cookie. Tough cookie.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Yes.
So this is our little
But I'm a
gingerbread
sugarholic. So
Me
it's
too,
okay.
sister. Me too. So here's our gingerbread man. We're just gonna put him on there and get the rest of these cut out. So what I like to do now, which our recipe doesn't say to do this, but what I like to do is after I get the cookies cut out, I like to throw them back in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Just to re-chill back up before I throw them in that oven.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, we're back. The cookies, the gingerbread men, are out of the freezer, and we put them in there for how long?
Maybe like 10
10
minutes.
minutes, yeah. And the reason is?
To firm your butter back up so it doesn't, when you bake them, they don't spread as bad.
Okay, I often wondered how that worked.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to put them in the oven now, 350 for how long?
About 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
So these are done. Now we are going to take our icing that we made and we are going to put it in a piping bag so we can decorate them. And then this nifty thing is called a tip. You use these for decorating cakes, cookies, whatever you want. So here we got our piping bag. We're gonna make a little cuff out of the top of it like this. So then your bag is gonna look like this. Stick your hand up under here and then push our tip down at the point.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna kind of mark, I just use my finger about halfway, a little less up the tip right here.
Mm-hmm.
See that? Okay, and then we're gonna push your tip back a little bit. You have your little line. Take our scissors.
See.
Maybe.
Oh, that's so interesting.
There we go.
If you've never done this before, you wouldn't know this.
Yeah, and then, so now your tip is in your bag. So you're gonna, your bag should look like this.
Okay, bring it close to the camera
Yeah.
so we can see. So she made the line. She put the tip in the bag. Whoops. She put the tip in the bag. She made a line with her fingernail and she cut that and then she pushed the tip down on the inside. I always wondered how that worked.
Yeah. So then you're gonna put your hand in the cuff area here. And then we're just gonna get a scoop of our icing that we made. And you're just gonna put it in there like that.
So you use a spatula and just...
Yes, you can use a
Scoop it in
spoon
there.
or anything you can do to get it in there. So this is what you're working with now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna fold it up. And that cuff is what keeps it from getting messy on the outside.
I see, gotcha.
And then you just take your fingers and push it down into the bottom. And then this is what your bag looks like.
Gotcha.
Okay? And then I usually always take right here where the icing is at the top and twist it and then
Right.
put it in between my fingers like so.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay? All right. So here we go. See if we can do this. How should we decorate these?
This.
Okay. So I need to move this so you can see.
Yep.
Are you good?
We're good.
Okay. So let's see. We're just gonna slowly squeeze our bag and move it and make little squiggles. You see it held its shape?
Yeah, it did. It's perfect.
Yeah. And we're gonna do the other leg.
So she's making this look really easy. I have a feeling it's probably
Well,
not
you know
as
what
easy.
we're gonna do? You're gonna try it.
Oh, good.
So, and then we're just gonna, to make the little buttons, you just hold it in one spot and squeeze your bag. Don't move it until it's the size dot that you want. And I like to use my opposite hand to steady my hand so I'm not shaking like a leaf.
Gotcha.
And then this one, more squiggles. And this is just a very traditional gingerbread man. You can add sprinkles and colors and all that stuff. So now we're gonna make him some little eyeballs and a mouth.
Oh, that's so
And there
cute.
is our gingerbread man.
That is adorable.
And it really wasn't that hard. I know y'all can do it.
It's not as easy.
Come on, Marsha, you try it.
Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm going to squeeze this,
Yes.
and I'm going to do a zigzag pattern.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that was
there's a
good.
big difference between
Yeah,
yours and
so
mine.
the
though.
difference is the amount of pressure you're putting on your bag.
Okay.
Where I squeezed my bag a little bit harder, you didn't have as much pressure on it.
It's not as hard as I thought it was going to
No,
be.
that looks good. See, you're a natural. Now when your grandkids come over, y'all can do this.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
This is what grandmas are supposed to know how to
Yeah.
do. And then buttons.
Yep. So just hold it build up. There you go. And what's nice about this icing, if you have like a little teardrop shape on it, it will usually self-level itself out depending on how thick your icing is. The thicker it is, it's not going to self-level as well. But once again, you don't want it too thick to where it just runs off your cookies.
Right.
Perfect.
Oh, that's fun.
Good job. So, that's it. We made gingerbread men. And here's Marsha's. You can't even tell which one I did and which one she did. They look the same. So, it's really easy, guys. I know you can do it. You're going to have so much fun doing this with your family.